Hi everybody, this is the second lecture for this topic 8 of ACT3110. In the previous video, which is in the lecture 1, you have learned about contribution, format income statement, and then the second one is you have learned about contribution margin, and then you have learned about contribution margin ratio, and then you have learned about the effect of changes in fixed costs on the on the profit, and also how to make decision related to the changes in the fixed cost. So in this lecture 2, you will learn about the most important thing in this topic, which is on about the break-even analysis. Okay, I think I have mentioned a bit about break-even point in the previous video. So to let you know that break-even point is a point where the total revenue of a business equal to total cost. At that point, the business does not make any profit. At the same time, does not make any loss. The way to the thing is like this. Let's say you have a business. And then you spend $20,000 to start the business. Break-even point is the point where your total sales or revenue equal to 20,000. So at that point, your cost is 20,000, your revenue also equal to 20,000. So at that point, you does not make any profit, and also you does not make any loss, but you have recovered all the cost that you have spent. So revenue equal to cost. At that point, that is the break-even point. If you are a businessman, you are very happy if you can achieve the break-even point, because at that point you have recovered all the amount that you have spent to start the business. After the break-even point, you will get profit. Okay, so in this subtopic, you will learn about how to calculate the break-even point. Break-even point can be calculated in terms of quantity and dollar. In terms of quantity, you can calculate how many unit of product you have to sell to achieve the break-even point. In terms of dollar, you can calculate how many dollar of sales you have to make to achieve the break-even point. Okay, there are three methods or approaches that can be used to calculate the break-even point. First is graphical analysis, second is equation method, and number 3 is the contribution margin method. So graphical analysis is like this. You draw the cost line for your business, and then you draw the revenue line for your business, and then the point where the revenue line meets the cost line is the break-even point. At that point, the revenue equal to cost, and when you plot that line on a graph paper, you can see how many is the break-even point quantity and how many dollar is the break-even point in terms of dollar. But the graphical method is not very practical, because you need graph paper, and also it takes some time to draw the graph and to check the point and the numbers. So we do not use that method much. So during the exam, you don't have time to find a graph paper and etc. So the second method that can be used to calculate the break-even point is called the equation method. So that is the second method. So we focus on the second method and then later third method. So this is the equation method. To calculate break-even point using equation method, you have to use this formula, this equation. The basic equation is the break-even point is a point where total revenue or total sales equal to total cost. So see the second equation in this slide. Sales equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. That is the point of break-even. At that point, the profit is equal to 0. So you use this equation, sales equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. Profit is 0, so don't have to worry about profit. So let's see how to use this equation. Okay, we use this Wind Bicycle company example. So remember about this data. For Wind Bicycle, the price per bicycle is $500, and then okay, wait a minute. Okay, the price of the bicycle is $500. Unit variable cost is $300, remember, and then the fixed cost is $80,000. Okay, so that is that are the data. So let's see. So now let's see how to calculate the break-even point for this Wind Bicycle using equation method. So remember, the equation is revenue, total revenue, equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost. Okay, now, so total revenue, remember this, sales or total revenue, the way to calculate total revenue or total sales is unit price times quantity. Remember that, unit price times quantity equal to total revenue or total sales. Total variable cost, the calculation is unit variable cost times quantity. Fixed cost is fixed cost. So for Wind Bicycle example, to calculate the break-even point, the formula is, remember, the equation is total revenue equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost. Okay, see the gray numbers here. Total revenue is $500 times quantity. The quantity is Q. Q is the quantity of break-even point that we want to find. Equal to $300. $300 is the unit variable cost times quantity. The quantity is the break-even point quantity that we are finding now. Plus the fixed cost is 80,000. So 0 is 0. Don't have to worry about that. So using this equation, so now you can solve the equation. 500Q equal to 300Q plus 80,000. So now you have to find the Q. So see this equation. So from this equation, you can see that Q equal to 400 bikes. So this method shows that for Wind Bicycle company, to achieve the break-even point, the company has to sell 400 bicycle. Okay, if the company want to achieve break-even point, the company has to sell 400 bicycle. So this is break-even point in terms of quantity. So how to calculate break-even point in terms of dollar? Very easy. This is one way to calculate the break-even point in terms of dollar. So X is the sales revenue at the break-even point, equal to 0.6x. I think this is difficult to use. The easiest way is like this. You know that from the previous slide, the break-even point in terms of quantity is 400 bicycle. So how much or how many dollar of sales the company has to make to achieve break-even point? To achieve the break-even point, the dollar of sales that the company has to make is 400 bicycles times $500, because the price of each bicycle is $500. So 400 bicycles times $500 equal to $200,000. So it means that based on the calculation that we have made using this equation, to achieve break-even point, the company has to make sales of $200,000. If the company can make sales $200,000, the company can achieve the break-even point. Okay, this is equation method. Okay, the third method is called contribution margin method. I think this method is easier because you just have to memorize the formula. So see here. So to calculate break-even point in terms of quantity, the formula that you have to use according to this method is fixed expenses divided by unit contribution margin. And then if you want to calculate break-even point in terms of dollar, in terms of dollar of sales, then the equation is fixed expenses divided by CM ratio. So if you can memorize these two formula, then very easy for you to calculate the break-even points. Okay, now we see the calculation. So if you put numbers into this formula, then you can calculate. Okay, so for example here, so break-even point in terms of unit or quantity, fixed expenses divided by contribution margin. So remember for the wind bicycle, the fixed expenses equal to 80,000 divided by unit contribution margin. Unit contribution margin for the bicycle company is $500 minus $300. So it is equal to $200. So $80,000 divided by $200. The answer is 400. So this calculation shows that to achieve break-even point, the wind bicycle has to sell 400 bicycle. So the answer is same like the answer when you use the equation method. So it means that you have two choices. If a question asks you to calculate break-even point, you can use equation method or you can use this contribution margin method. Okay, now let's see break-even point in terms of dollar. To calculate that, it is equal to fixed expenses. So again, fixed expenses equal to 80,000 for this sample business divided by CM ratio. So CM ratio, how to calculate CM ratio? Okay, CM ratio can be calculated as this. Unit contribution margin divided by the unit price. So unit contribution margin in this sample question is 200. The unit price is 500. So equal to 0.4. So fixed break-even point in terms of dollar is equal to 80,000 divided by 0.4. So if you calculate the number, you will get that the result of the calculation is $200,000. So it is the same number. If you use the equation method, you will get the same number. If you use the contribution margin method, you will get the same number. So you have choices. I think this method is easy and can be done very quickly. So in the exam or in the test, if somebody asks you to calculate break-even point, I think you have two choices. So you can use the equation method or this method. So remember. So there is an example here. Okay, this coffee clutch business, the average selling price of a cup of coffee is $1.49. The average variable expense per cup is 36 cents. The average fixed expenses per month is 1,300. Okay, what is the break-even point in terms of quantity? Break-even point quantity. So remember, you have two choices. You can use equation method or you can use contribution margin method. So let's say this question. So this question uses the contribution margin method. Very easy. Break-even point in terms of quantity equal to fixed expenses divided by unit contribution margin. So you can see the calculation there. 1,300 divided by $1.13. So equal to 1,150 cups. So the answer is D. So it means that for this business, coffee clutch business, if the business want to achieve break-even point, the business has to sell 1,150 cups of coffee. Okay, this is the same data, the same sample question. The question asks you calculate what is the break-even sales in dollar. So before this, you have calculated the break-even point in term of quantity. Now the break-even point in term of dollar. So I think the question uses the contribution margin method. So the formula is to calculate break-even point in term of dollar of sales equal to fixed expenses divided by CM ratio. So okay, the fixed expenses is 1,300 per month, and then the CM ratio you have to calculate the CM ratio. Remember the formula to calculate the CM ratio. Unit contribution margin divided by unit price. So in this sample question, the CM ratio is 0.058. So the answer is $1,715. B. Okay, you just have to memorize the formula, and you can answer this kind of question. Okay, this is the next thing that you have to know in this topic. The target profit analysis. So see the scenario here. Suppose that Win company want to know how many bikes must be sold to earn a profit of 100,000. So if the company want to know how many unit of bicycle has to be sold to earn profit of $100,000, how to answer this question? How many bikes has to be sold? So we can use our CVP formula to determine the sales volume needed to achieve a target profit figure. Okay, you can use this equation if you want. So if you use this equation, you just put the target profit there. So the equation is total revenue equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost plus the target profit. So for this bicycle business, the total revenue is 500 Q. 500 is the price for each bicycle. Q is the quantity that you want to find. Quantity of bicycle has to be sold to achieve the $100,000 profit. And then the total variable cost is $300 times the quantity that you want to find, plus the fixed cost is $80,000, plus the target profit of $100,000. So you calculate you solve the equation, you will see that Q equal to 900 bicycle. So it means that if the company want to achieve $100,000 profit, the company has to sell 900 bicycle. Another one is, if the question asks you how many dollar of sales the business has to make to achieve the $100,000 profit. So to calculate that, it is easy. You take the 900 bikes times the times $500. $500 is the price for one bike. So you will get a number. That number shows how many dollar of sales the company has to make to achieve $100,000 of profit. So this is another way to calculate the target profit quantity. This is using the contribution margin method or approach. So if you want to use this contribution margin method, you just have to add something in the formula. Okay, remember when you want to calculate break-even point using this contribution margin method, to calculate break-even point in terms of quantity, the formula is total fixed cost divided by unit contribution margin. But if you want to calculate quantity related to target profit, then you just have to add target profit at the first half of the formula. So here, unit sales to attain the target profit equal to fixed expenses plus the target profit divided by unit contribution margin. So you use this formula. The numbers are here. 80,000 is the fixed expenses plus the target profit is $100,000 divided by unit contribution margin is $200. So the answer is 900 bytes. So this is quicker. If a question asks you, a company want to achieve this much profit, calculate how many unit of product has to be sold. So you can use equation method that you have seen in the previous slide, or you can use contribution margin method to calculate the number. I think this is easier. Okay, let's see for this example. So Coffee Clash is the business that you have seen in the previous slide. So the price is $1.49, unit variable cost is 36 cents, fixed cost per month is $1,300. And then the question asks you how many cups of coffee has to be sold to attain target profit of $2,500 per month. So easy, isn't it? So you just use, I think the question uses the formula or uses the contribution margin method. So the formula is fixed expenses plus target profit divided by unit contribution margin. So fixed expenses is 1,300, target profit is $2,500, unit contribution margin is price minus unit variable cost, so $1.49 minus 36 cents. So the answer is 3,363 cups. So it means here that the company, if the business want to achieve 2,500 profit every month, the business has to sell 3,363 cups. And also, the question can ask you how many dollar of sales the business has to make to achieve the target profit. If the question asks you how many dollar of sales, then it is easy to answer the question. So the answer is 3,363 cups times $1.49. So you will get the number of dollar of sales that the business has to make to achieve the target profit. Okay, don't have to worry about this margin of safety. For ACT3110, you have to know up to this point. You have to know how to calculate the target profit. Okay, that's all for this topic. As far as I know, and according to the course outline, you don't have to we don't have to cover the operating leverage and margin of safety. It is not included in the course outline. Okay, this is the last thing, assumption of CVP analysis. So remember, everything you have done in this topic, everything that you have learned in this topic are subjected to these assumptions. Okay, in this topic, when you do the calculation for the target profit, for the break-even point, and for the simple decision making, etc., you are subjected to these four assumptions. The first one is, in every analysis that we have done in this topic, we assume that selling price is constant. If one product, for example, the wind bicycle, one bicycle, the price is 500, the price is constant. The company sells one bicycle, the price is 500. The company sell 900 bicycle, the price is still 500. That is the assumption. And the second assumption is the costs are linear. The costs are linear. So we assume that the unit variable cost is always same. For the bicycle, the unit variable cost is always 300. The wind company sell one bicycle, the variable cost is 300. If the company sell 500 bicycles, still the unit variable cost is 500. The fixed cost is also same, 80,000. No matter how many bicycles are sold, the fixed cost is assumed as same, which is at 80,000. Okay, in a multi-product companies, the sales mix is constant. So actually, CVP analysis can be used for analysis of companies with several products. But for ACT3110, you learn about only for companies that has one product, single product business. But actually, if you check the textbook in the library or somewhere else, you will see that CVP analysis also can be used in companies that produces several products. And then number 4, the assumption is in manufacturing companies, inventories do not change. Okay, so also we assume that in our analysis, in the analysis that we have done in this topic, we assume that all the units produced by a business, all of them can be sold. We assume that all the production unit equal to sales unit. Even though in the real situation, if a company produces 1,000 units product, sometimes the company cannot sell all of them. Sometimes the company only can sell half of them sometimes, or maybe 90% of them only. Okay, sometimes. But in this topic, we assume that unit produced equal to unit of sales. Unit of production equal to unit of sales. Thank you very much. This is the end of this topic. You can communicate with me in the comment section.